Violence is so ingrained in Family Guy that they even sing about it at the start of every episode, and that's why today we're going to take a look at some of the best battles and toughest fighters in all of Quahog. Starting with the time Peter was certain he could take down a Hollywood legend in Fighting Irish.
Liam Neeson, what a fraud.
Oh, come on, Peter, not this again.
So apparently this is Peter's thing. Anytime he gets a few beers in him, he's completely convinced he could beat up Liam Neeson. Is it because he wasn't even an action star until he was old enough to apply for a senior discount? Is it to get back at him for Taken 3? Is it because he's the only actor Family Guy could get to take this part? Either way, his friends are sick of hearing about it every time they go out.
Well, we know where Liam Neeson is.
That's right. He's shooting a movie in Connecticut.
So they go to the film shoot and try to pick a fight with the 101st most famous person in the world, but that just draws the attention of the police.
I was hoping to inflict violence upon him.
All right, you're coming with us.
Word to the wise. Actually, that phrase doesn't work for Peter. General word of advice, Peter. If you're gonna try to fight a famous guy, be okay with lying to cops. So he spends the night in jail before suddenly getting bailed out by an unlikely figure.
I hear you've been all over town saying you could kick my arse. Well, there's no time like the present.
But now that he's face to face with the guy who has a particular set of skills, Peter realizes his best option is probably just to say sorry. Could have told me that before I put all my savings into betting on you losing this fight. All that big talk and it ends with a whole lot of nothing.
May I offer you the most sincere, honest apology? Ow! Ah!
Psych! But after Peter's sneak attack doesn't work, he starts to beg, agreeing to do whatever weird jobs Liam tells him to, like going into jury duty or tweeting at hot girls or having a guy whiz in his hands at the gym. You know, regular everyday chores that famous people like Liam Neeson can't be bothered to do. Eventually, though, he's had enough and stands up to Qui-Gon Jinn.
Your story thread in Love Actually is the second worst.
I'm sorry, second worst? Are we forgetting the British guy who goes to America, the movie body doubles, or even Laura Linney's borderline HR complaint-worthy obsession with her coworker? And Daniel and Sam's story is your second worst pick? So Neeson rightly smacks Peter and throws him across the room before the fight ends exactly how you'd expect, with Peter getting his lunch money stolen by the 6'4" action star who literally trained Batman.
I was stupid to think I could beat up Liam Neeson. You guys must think I'm pathetic.
Surprisingly, they're actually impressed with his pathetic showing because really, all that matters is that you follow through on your drunken ravings, no matter how insane they might be. But someone who's proved that they don't need to be drunk to dominate the fighting scene is Lois, who becomes a force to be reckoned with after taking a couple taijutsu classes in Lethal Weapons.
Holy crap!
Oh my god.
So after taking taijutsu lessons with Bonnie, Lois realizes her hands are certified weapons. And when she saves Peter from a New York City bully, she worries she just emasculated him. But he had a totally different reaction.
Come one, come all. She floats like a butterfly and stings like when I pee.
You gotta give it up to Peter for supporting his wife's new hobbies. A lot of husbands would get freaked out or tell her to stop, but Peter does what any loving husband should do in a situation like this. Try to make money off her. But she refuses to join his fight club, so he goes with plan B, which is having Chris fight an imaginary bear.
Help me! Help me, for God's sake! He's gonna kill me!
I have to hand it to Chris, most people wouldn't have even lasted that long against an imaginary bear. But Lois eventually goes to her sensei to quit because she doesn't like how violent her new skills have made her.
But Lois, you're my star pupil. I want you in my advanced class.
So it takes some gentle encouragement from her sensei for Lois to realize that the classes have made her way more confident and give her a fix to her problem of always being pushed around by people, including her husband.
You have two choices. Either my baby swings from this jungle gym, or you do.
That's another good lesson here for Stewie. Kids can't be bullied if you bully their parents first. And it's not just mean moms at the park, as a bunch of New York tourists have taken over the clam, leaving Peter to figure out the perfect way to get them to pick a fight with his karate queen of a wife.
Jet suck, Yankee suck, Nick suck.
Oh, right. Forgot that New Yorkers are always one lazy insult away from throwing a punch. So Lois takes all the drunken goons down, while even knocking out a couple of Kryptonians. But at her graduation, her sensei tells her to fight a classmate, which kinda ticks her off.
Why are you putting me up against the scrubs, Jared? Why don't you be a man and fight me yourself?
So she goes into the boss battle against her mentor and unleashes 16 years of pent-up housewife rage on him, totally wiping the floor in the process.
Oh, that was amazing!
This is mine!
Peter's really having to reckon with whether this display excites him or scares him. Been there, buddy. But unfortunately, Lois's violent displays start spilling into her whole family, especially Stewie, who is already walking the tight line between evil baby and total dictator. You could say the therapy doesn't take. And if we're talking about Griffin family fighter rankings currently, then Stewie's gotta be high up on the list. This kid plays dirty. So Peter and Lois take Stewie to a therapist to find out the question we've all been wondering. Why is Stewie the way he is?
I know who's responsible for Stewie's behavior, but if I told you who it was, Lois would beat the crap out of me.
Going out on a limb here and saying that we all saw that answer coming. But Lois says the whole reason she fights is because of Peter. After all, he's kind of a crappy father and husband, so it's honestly weird she hasn't completely cracked already. But that's exactly what happens when they get home.
You can't hit me. I'm a girl.
Sometimes I wonder.
And within a couple of seconds, the whole family is in an all-out brawl. This is the best family of fighters since the Von Erichs. Just don't look up how that story ends.
This is all Dad's fault.
I don't like to be touched!
But when Peter gets whacked in the head by a donkey painting and puts a whole new meaning to the term jackass, the whole family breaks their fighting to laugh at his expense. It's just a little life reminder that nothing heals pent-up anger like a good old bare-knuckle brawl. But it may be these early season fights that gave Chris and Meg the battle experience they needed to take out their entire school later in life in the D in Apartment 23.
You racist jerk! I hope you get foot and mouth disease!
So Brian tweets that he'd rather watch Baywatch than Ride Along because he's white, even though the joke doesn't even work. After all, we all know Brian only watches Baywatch for the slow-mo running scenes of busty beach babes. But the tweet goes viral and basically causes a riot.
Hey, how was Baywatch? I want to see that bad.
But it's not just Brian who suffers the consequences of his actions, as Meg and Chris also get ousted by their classmates. They're already bullied at school just because of their personalities, but now that everyone knows they have a racist dog, they just became the worst combo a high schooler can be these days. A dork and a racist.
Your dog wrote an insensitive tweet. You can't eat here.
Uh-oh, Meg. It's a sensitivity mob.
Good thing they haven't discovered Peter's Reddit page. You thought Brian's Twitter was bad? So there's nowhere left in the cafeteria for them to sit, but Chris stands his ground.
Maybe we should just eat outside?
No, Meg, we're eating here.
So the guy knocks Chris's hat off, and then Chris bashes him in the face with his tray and goes absolutely crazy. It's straight out of that scene in Kingsman, complete with a Freebird montage, just with fewer suits and more racist dogs. Ugh, if only YouTube let us play this music, you'd be as hyped as I am right now.
It was a joke.
So Chris and Meg prove they're grade A action stars, and back at the Griffin home, Brian has the chance to show off his fighting chops and one of the rioters throws a punch.
Ow! Jeez.
Guess he's not the fighter of the family. After that showing from Chris and Meg, you're gonna have to pull out all the violent stops before we're impressed, Bri. And that's something he doesn't follow through with when he gets soloed by Stewie in Peter Normal Activity.
What, these? Come on. The last thing I want is attention.
So Brian breaks out a pair of fake glasses to seem smarter or look better, or for whatever reason people decided to start wearing fake glasses a decade ago.
I'm gonna destroy those glasses if it's the last thing I do.
Seriously, fake glasses are the third most annoying thing millennials ever did, only behind overpriced gastropubs and inventing the word adulting. Anyway, Stewie handled it exactly the way you're supposed to when you meet someone like this.
Hey, Bri?
Yeah?
Ah! Damn it!
Seriously, are we ever gonna see Brian win an actual fight, or will he just reference The Art of War or some other book he's definitely never read when asked about his fighting background? But while Brian never lasts all that long in a fight, Peter does, as he gives us one of the coolest fight sequences when he becomes a pirate in Long John Peter.
Hey guys, what is going on?
No way!
So Peter adopts a parrot while at the vet's for Brian, and obviously the logical next step when you get a parrot is to lean into the whole pirate thing.
Peter, what the hell are you doing?
That's Long John Peter to you, porthole!
Honestly, we all know Peter couldn't make it 1 week as a pirate. He knows they don't have a TV on those ships, right? So after Peter and his new pirate buddies raid a pharmacy, they chase after a guy who has sugarcane, tobacco, and spices in his backseat while flying a British flag.
Oh no, privateers!
You know, back in those times when sugarcane, tobacco, and spices were rare commodities, I'd understand all this effort. But Peter's literally driven past multiple shops that would have sold any of these for less money than it's going to cost him to repair the car. But the Pirates of Rhode Island still decide to chase down the British man.
Prepare to be boarded! You'll never take my cargo!
So Peter draws his sword and battles this guy as their ships race through the 7 seas. Or, you know, down Main Street. Lois may be the brawler of the family, but sword fighting in a moving car? Pretty impressive, Peter. So the ships fire cannons at each other, ripping apart their cars, and while Peter duels the guy, his men take his boxes as their own.
Shoot it again!
What? I didn't understand that.
I said shoot it again, but I said it pirate-like.
Where's Seamus throughout all this? This is the one time a storyline would have actually perfectly fit him in without him having to insert himself. It's like having a Kinky episode and leaving out Quagmire. So Peter just lived his dream as a pirate, but as always, violence has a cost.
Sir, we've got a man down.
Oh my god, Adrian Beakey, say something!
Shoot me!
And this tragedy has him giving up the pirate life, but for those 2 hours, Long John Peter looked really cool. And that wasn't the only time Peter proved he was pretty good with a blade, as he used one to go full Kill Bill in the episode 3 Directors. So in a Tarantino-inspired episode, Peter gets fired from the brewery and goes on a sword-swinging killing spree to get back at his boss Angela. And honestly, in this job climate, it kinda makes sense. She probably doesn't even offer severance, those jerks. But the Trisha Takanawa 88s don't go down easily. Okay, maybe they go down quite easily. Where'd he learn to fight like this? Maybe if he spent a little more time on his job and a little less time searching sword fighting techniques on YouTube, he wouldn't have gotten fired in the first place. But come on, you didn't expect us to talk about swords without breaking out the lightsabers, did you? The Star Wars trilogy easily gave us some of the best fighting scenes in the whole show, like the final battle in something 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 Dark Side.
The Force is with you, young Skywalker, but you are not a Jedi yet.
So in the second Star Wars parody, Luke trains with Yoda to prepare to take down the evil Darth Vader. But first, some ground rules.
How about no name calling? You know, let's not have one of those kinds of lightsaber battles.
Seems fair. Too many fights to the death to save an entire galaxy from the thumb of Imperial oppression include people being unnecessarily rude. And you know what? It's not cool. So the fight begins, and already it's like 20 times better than the lightsaber duel in A New Hope. Don't at me, I said what I said. And while these two fight for the fate of the galaxy, we bump into another old friend.
Put Captain Solo in the cargo hold.
Really? No excessive drawn-out brawl between Han Solo and Boba Fett? Ugh, whatever. Anyway, Darth Vader shows that no matter how good Luke's skills are with a blade, he's no match for him as a Force wielder. Luke barely makes it out and proves that he should really choose his words more carefully.
I would give my right hand for this day to just end.
So Luke crawls away with his tail between his legs, which means Stewie wins, right? We're counting wins by default in this case. But instead of killing Luke, he tries to bring him onto his side.
Come on, Luke, join the dark side. It's really cool.
Yeah, they're way cooler than those rebel dorks. Of course, Luke tells Vader where to shove his offer, which costs him a hand.
Ow! Ow! Ow!
Hey, a hand!
You know the rest. No, Luke, I am your baby brother, or however that famous quote went. But Luke would go on to prove his worth as a Jedi in the final installment of the trilogy, It's a Trap. So Luke has now completed his Jedi training and saves his friend from Jabba and his associates, showing how much he's improved his saber swinging since the last time we saw him. Finally, Chris just did what Peter has spent the better part of the 2000s trying to accomplish. Anyway, after he rescues his friends, Luke leads the assault on Endor to finally take down the Empire. Minus points for the team for needing the help of a bunch of cute little cuddly bears to take down the Stormtrooper army, though. God, those guys are vicious. But while Han, Leia, and the Ewoks deal with the army on Endor, Luke pays the Emperor a visit.
Oh, sorry, this is my joke lightsaber. It's cute, right?
So Luke is enraged at the Emperor for bad-mouthing Seth Green. Seriously, how can he talk crap about the star of the 2023 masterpiece, Hanky Panky? How are you gonna denigrate the artist behind Lego King Kong? Whatever. Anyway, he gets so ticked off that he tries to strike down the Emperor, but Vader stops him. But enough rage is coursing through Luke to finally take down Vader. Maybe these dark side guys got a point?
Hey, you got a good hand guy, right?
The Emperor's impressed, and so are we. Sneaky dark horse contender for best fighter in Family Guy? But the Emperor says if he's not gonna join the dark side, he'll have to kill him.
Oh yeah? You and what lightning hands?
Oh, now you've done it.
So Vader watches his son get fried by his boss, but Luke says please so nicely that Vader decides to help the kid out. See guys, manners matter. So Luke beats Vader, Emperor beats Luke, but Vader beats Emperor. So who wins? Luke settles that debate while trying to get his dad's helmet off. Hey, a win on a technicality is still a win, right? And just like Luke Skywalker, Herbert proved he was an awesome fighter while taking down evil and German guy.
You're just about my most favorite guy who's gonna die soon.
So Chris meets a German puppet maker named Franz who instantly catches his attention, which naturally makes Herbert jealous. But it turns out Franz is one of the, unfriendly old Germans.
So now you know the truth.
Don't you hate it when you realize the creepy old man friend you dumped your last creepy old man friend for is secretly the worst person in the world? So Peter manages to knock the gun out of Franz's hands, but Chris can't figure out which one to shoot as he thinks they're both his dad.
We never switched. Wait, we don't even look the same.
But after choosing wrong, he and Peter end up locked in Franz's basement where Herbert finds them through a window. And for the first time, Herbert's trying to get Chris out of a basement.
Only one of us is gonna walk out of here alive.
Bring it on!
So he busts through the front door to fight this creep, and it goes about as well as you'd expect a fight between two nonagenarians to go. What they didn't mention is that the winner between these two is going to fight Jake Paul live on Netflix next month.
Where am I?
It's okay, we're fighting. Wake up.
Probably could have just let him sleep and saved the kid in the basement, but you gotta respect the man who fights with honor. But his watch timer goes off, putting another pin in the fight sequence.
Hang on, pills.
Yeah, me too.
But Franz pulls an old man move by getting stuck on the couch, so Herbert plays fair and calls his nurse to help him up. But when the fight finally continues, Franz dramatically tumbles toward the front step. He's about to put a whole new meaning to the phrase, "I've fallen and I can't get up."
Franz, grab my hand!
But he doesn't grab him in time, which puts a dramatic end to the world's slowest fight.
Say good night, you bastard.
This was a reminder to all the creepy old men in Quahog. Don't get between Herbert and his favorite little boy. And you don't come between a little boy and his toys, especially when that little boy can fight like Stewie, which Chris learned in The Talented Mr. Stewie.
I know how I'm going to move on. I have to kill Chris and Rupert right away.
So Stewie can't get over Chris taking back his favorite toy, Rupert, so he invites them both to a dinner to help him move on. Just in general, don't say yes to dinner invites hosted in sketchy cabins in the middle of the woods, especially when the invite comes from your baby brother who's basically a supervillain.
You're planning on killing me?
So Chris assumes that he was poisoned, which probably would have been a good idea. Oh well, too late for that now. But Stewie bashes Chris on the head and rows him out on the lake.
You can turn around right now and go back home. This is your brother.
Whoops, can't really turn back now. So Chris tries his best to fight back, but Stewie wins out and decides to test just how good a swimmer his brother is.
This is all because of you, Rupert. You broke my heart.
Of course, it ends happily with Stewie changing his mind and saving Chris, but Chris will always have to live with the knowledge that his baby brother could totally kick his butt. And while that was Chris and Stewie's most dramatic fight, it was far from their most violent, which actually came and start me up.
I'm going to watch the older boys play Fortnite because I'm not old enough to play Fortnite myself.
So while Brian's at an electronics store returning a keyboard because it didn't magically make him a good writer, Chris and Stewie start fighting over a recliner in the home theater department, and we quickly see why it's a bad idea to let your dog watch your kids.
Do you have the original packaging for the item? No, that's probably with the receipt.
At least Chris gets his revenge here by flinging his baby brother across the room before getting taken out by a sign that totally ruins what would have been his time to gloat. Embarrassing way to go out. But we can't cover Family Guy's best fights without talking about the history of Quahog's greatest feud, which all started back in Season 2's Da Boom.
I'm sorry, this is expired.
You son of a...
You know, the Peter vs. Chicken fights are everything great about Family Guy in a nutshell. Fights drawn out so long that they stop being funny, but then keep going until they're ironically funny again. Of all the stressors that come with the in-office work life, a man battling a giant chicken while busting through your window isn't usually one of them.
Chicken gave me a bad coupon. Ah!
But that's not even their biggest fight, as they would later meet up in Blind Ambition. And while Ernie's appearance in this fight was much more out of the blue, he wasn't expecting Peter to pull out every move he's seen in the Indiana Jones movies. Maybe that chicken should have learned to duck. But the fights truly become iconic when they meet in No Chris Left Behind.
Oh, crap.
This fight is way more drawn out than ever before, so much so that you kinda just wonder if they ran out of ideas for the A-plot. That's the cool thing with having writer's block while working for Family Guy. You can always just shoehorn in a 10-minute bit of Peter duking it out with the chicken. But after a while, they both realized they forgot what they were fighting about.
Why don't you let my wife and I take you out to dinner?
Normally, Peter would get chicken fingers at a fancy place like this, so props to him for being self-aware enough to not do that this time. But when the dinner check comes, things get heated.
Let go of the check, eh?
You let go of the check.
And so it begins again. Peter beats in his birdie brains in the kitchen, but once again, Ernie survives. It's not until internal affairs that the pair see each other again.
Oh, God, buddy, I'm sorry. You okay?
So this time while fighting, they stumble into Stewie's time machine and get sent into the Old West, hop a ride with Doc and Marty to go back to the future, end up in a cloning facility, and fight to the death on an oil rig before the whole thing blows up. Seriously, can you say overkill? What is this, 1,000,000 Ways to Die in the Northeast? This fight got so insane that even the Fast and Furious guys were like, hey, maybe tone it down a little. And somehow it got even more ridiculous after Brian's overuse of a time machine caused the flow of time to reverse in Yug Yillamaf.
My God, look at all this devastation!
What kind of epic battle could have possibly led to all this? Peter vs. Giant Chicken Part 5, that's what. This time in I haven't been this confused since watching that one Christopher Nolan movie, but at least Seth MacFarlane had the sense to put a giant chicken in his time-bending masterpiece. Anyway, Peter hits the chicken with his car, which leads to all this insanity in the first place. Leads to, led to, will lead to? Grammar's confusing with time travel. Either way, it all finally ended in fecal matters.
Jeez, what's wrong with you? We usually start fighting.
I'm dying, Peter.
So Peter just started volunteering at the hospital where his archenemy is being treated, but Ernie doesn't even care if he dies here.
My wife left me for a bigger cock.
Cocks are chickens.
Thank you for helping us avoid the censoring, Peter. So Peter's pretty psyched to get a win, even if it's on a technicality, because again, those count. But then he gets a flashback montage of all their crazy fights together.
Come on, you gotta live, damn it! I need you!
And it's Peter's hate of Ernie that drives him to miraculously save his life. Apparently looking over your shoulder every day, wondering if a chicken's gonna come out of nowhere to fight you is like the most exciting thing a guy can experience. Of course, that's not the only animal that fought to the death against a griffin, like when Stewie had a blood feud against a turtle and Lois comes out of her shell.
Is that a turtle?
Yes, Brian, I found him at the park. I named him Sheldon.
So some weird stuff starts happening around the house after Sheldon's arrival. Rupert's missing an eye, Brian's Jack Daniels is replaced with Diet Coke. Also, buddy, it's 8:20 in the morning, get it together. But it's not a coincidence as Stewie realizes what's happening.
Sheldon?
So the turtle's apparently psychotic and for some reason has made it his life mission to ruin the griffin's life. Kinda rude considering Stewie saved him from a life of hunting bugs and dangerously crossing roads, but whether it's cranky Germans or Sith Lords or bloodthirsty turtles, it seems pure evil can come from anywhere. So anyway, Stewie fights it off and flushes Sheldon down the toilet. But just like the chicken, this thing won't go down without a fight. So Sheldon sends Rupert's head in the box as a creepy message, but that was a big mistake, Shellhead. Because now Stewie knows you're coming. Give Stewie enough prep time and he's basically Batman. Unfortunately, as our zoologist friends can tell us, the turtle has a natural advantage. He can literally hide it himself when he knows he's outmatched, just like me when the IRS comes knocking in my corner of the ocean.
Hey, get out here and fight me!
So Stewie tosses a firecracker inside the shell to get him out, and when that doesn't work, he decides to just break his way in.
Now batting, Stewie Griffin! Oh, crap.
But Sheldon saw this coming and now has Stewie dead to rights. Also, is anyone else insanely uncomfortable looking at a naked turtle? Have the decency to cover yourself up before you kill the kid, Sheldon. Jeez.
No! No! No!
Talk about a Deus Ex Machina, but hey. You see a turtle, you jump on turtle. But a much less balanced fight came between Peter and Kyle, a kid who Peter fought like a maniac to defend his son against in the Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Oh my god, Chris, what happened?
Kyle beat me up.
So after finding out that Kyle's been picking on Chris, Peter goes to Kyle's house to have a word with his parents. For the first time in his life, Peter decides to be a loving father, and in return, he just gets roasted by a teenager.
Hey there, Kyle. Hey, I'm Chris Griffin's father.
Hey, I'm Chris Griffin's father.
Gotta hand it to Kyle, he's mastered the classics. Just repeating everything you say in an annoying voice. All-time annoying little brother stuff here. But Kyle takes it too far.
Kyle, I said shut up!
You're a poop nose. No!
It's around punch number 37 that Peter starts to wonder, was this a bad idea? But how else are you gonna handle a situation like this but to pretend nothing happened?
Might be some problems later, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
This might have been the biggest blowout of all the Griffin fights we've seen today. Peter really made that kid look like Gina Carano out there. And that wasn't the only time Peter proved he was a tougher fighter than a kid, like when he teamed up with Jesus to beat up a bunch of altar boys in Mr. Act.
I'm not quitting, and I'm not gonna be bullied by some noodle-armed kids!
So Peter starts singing with the church choir after his voice went up an octave from a Peloton incident that squished his mini Peters, but he gets relentlessly bullied by a bunch of punk altar boys. Luckily, he has a friend from on high.
Jesus?
I am here to help you with your problem.
You'd think if anyone could get these kids to chill out, it would be the literal Son of God, but some kids are just beyond even his powers.
They're gonna kick you in the schnutz.
So Jesus decides to take a different approach, going a little more Old Testament like his dad.
You're gonna beat the crap out of them, and I'm gonna help you do it.
So Jesus helps Peter get ready to fight, but it kind of feels like he's just doing chores for the guy. Isn't it a total waste? Oh, ye of little faith in the power of Ralph Macchio.
Now show me, stow the hymnals. Yay! Yay! Yay!
Apparently they show Karate Kid in heaven. So Peter faces off against the altar boys again, and this time things play out a little differently.
Looks like someone learned how to fight.
Yeah, I got a whole Karate Kid thing.
But there's still one kid Peter hasn't put in a body bag, and he's the biggest bully of them all. Luckily, he saved his best move till last. So it's a happy ending as a bunch of altar boys get beat up by a middle-aged man and Jesus. And it looks like Peter's holy jewels are going to make it out okay too, thanks to some divine intervention.
Ow, my balls! Ow, my balls?
That's how it works, right? Hit him once, you go up an octave, hit him again, it's like a factory reset. But hey, give it up to Peter for only getting in fights with people he knows he can beat. You know, teenagers and poultry. Guess he learned his lesson from that whole Liam Neeson thing. But if you want to see a more evenly matched fight, then look no further than the time Stewie went to war with his half-brother in sibling rivalry.
You leave me no choice but to declare war!
So Stewie already claimed the playground as his, but his archenemy Bertram wanted it for his own. Now back when I was a kid, we'd settle our arguments with a game of rock, paper, scissors, nose goes, or, you know, just running home to mommy. But not these kids. Bertram and Stewie rally the troops to go to war over the jungle gym.
At my signal, unleash hell!
So the skies over Quahog are completely filled with Bertram's choppers and Stewie's jets. If this were any other town, people would probably be freaking out, but again, weird things happen in Quahog every day. This is nothing. So the kids blow each other out of the sky and parachute down together, but if you thought that was the end of the fight, you don't know Stewie Griffin. Gotta hand it to these kids for never backing down from a fight, even after you just ejected out of an exploding plane. So after the air battle, Stewie starts plotting his final attack when he's handed a letter from Bertram.
What's this? A letter of surrender! We did it!
But Bertram is way too dastardly to just surrender, right? They are related, after all. And that's exactly when Stewie realized Bertram infected the girl with chickenpox, spreading it to Stewie's entire army. Bertram gets it. Work smarter, not harder.
Damn you, Bertram! I thought we called no biological warfare!
But eventually, Lois decides to be a good mom and take him home. Apparently, the line is chickenpox, not aerial battle. But everyone knows the rules of war. Mom coming means you forfeit. So Bertram finally has control of the playground, though not for long.
I sense something. A presence I've not felt since... Ah!
Inconceivable, right? So they draw their swords and duel across the entire playground when Stewie finally gets the better of Bertram, taking the championship belt right back. Don't mess with his playground. But fighting old enemies isn't where Stewie draws the line, as he's also fought his own girlfriend in Mr. and Mrs. Stewie.
I'm so sorry, Brian. Penelope told me I had to kill you because you said we should break up.
I would do anything for love, but I won't kill my dog for you, you freaking psycho. So Stewie's hopefully now ex-girlfriend says she's gonna finish the job herself.
Stewie, she's 1 year old. I think I can handle this myself.
Oh yeah? The guy who drinks out of the toilet bowl? This 1-year-old's got a laser blaster, so maybe tone down the cockiness, Brian. So Stewie protects his pal with a laser blaster of his own, but Penelope's got an anti-gravity gun. Nothing more emasculating than when your girl has a better gun than you.
This is beyond my technology. Perhaps if I detonate an electromagnetic pulse, it will disable it.
So when the anti-grav gun blows up, they're sent flying through the air, still slapping and punching the whole time. Stewie wins the fight. He takes after his mom after all, but any action movie fans know winning the fight is just half the battle. You gotta nail the cool line.
Stay away from my dog.
Absolutely crushed it. So Penelope pulls him in for one final kiss before grappling him to a light pole to make her escape.
That was beautiful. I'm gonna tell my friends I banged her.
But let's move from lovers' quarrels to fights between friends, like when everyone ganged up on Joe and believe it or not, Joe's walking on air.
Boys, there's only one answer. We gotta Joe.
So after Joe goes through a procedure to fix his legs, he turns into a total conceited jerk. I know it's a cliche, everyone with legs is a total D-bag. But they're gonna get the real Joe back, whether he likes it or not.
We're gonna break your legs, Joe.
It's for your own good.
You see, Peter? It's harder when it's not a 15-year-old you're fighting. Honestly, they should be embarrassed. Joe's had those legs for like 2 days. They've had legs for an entire lifetime, and he's still kicking their butts.
Buddy, what the hell? Put my gun down.
Not until I have my husband back.
Turns out Peter and the crew weren't the only ones who got annoyed at Joe and his new legs. But instead of something like couples therapy or just talking to the guy, Bonnie just fills him up with lead. Too bad her aim isn't that good.
I'm sorry, Joe. I was aiming for your spine.
Oh, damn it!
In the end, he just shoots himself in the spine to end his misery and go back to the wheelchair. But it's gotta be nice showing your friends once and for all that if all things are equal, they don't stand a chance against you. And that's not even the wildest fight the gang has had against each other, as they once tried taking each other down with paintballs and petarded.
Ooh, I forgot to pick up the paintball guns.
Well, we could use these. I brought them from the office.
I mean, the logic is flawless. It's like when you're trying to play Battleship and you're missing a couple pieces, so you just drop real bombs. Or you're trying to play Last of Us, but your controller doesn't work, so you just bite your friends. Actually, scratch that. This looks amazing. It's the stakes that make it so fun. Nothing like maybe possibly dying that gives the game night the extra oomph.
Missed, Jess.
Ow! Damn it, Peter, that hurt!
The only real problem with this version of paintball is that if you lose, you don't really get a second chance. And they decide to stick to something a little safer during their sleepover and the juice is loose.
Hey, Peter.
Yeah?
Pillow fight!
Aw, what a fun, sweet way for 4 men in their 40s to hang out. When's the last time you had a good old-fashioned pillow fight instead of something silly like watching the game or bar hopping? Wait a minute.
Oh my god, sorry, Lois.
Ah, that's right. That's why adult dudes don't have pillow fights. All that pent-up rage and aggression? According to some sources I've definitely not made up, 99.9% of pillow fights end up with everyone in the emergency room. But what happens when they fight for real, like when Cleveland fights Quagmire over his wife in the Cleveland-Loretta Quagmire?
Cleveland, Quagmire's sleeping with your wife.
What?
Cleveland hasn't felt this betrayed since LeBron ditched them, but he just says he's sorry for not being enough of a man for her.
I cheat on you and you apologize to me? Cleveland Brown, you are pathetic.
So she kicks him out and he crashes with the Griffins, who don't like that he's not reacting angrily enough, so they put on a little sketch to get him to emote.
Glenn Quagmire, you're dead.
There he is. Watching your best friend hump his dog while they're wearing the mask of your wife and other best friend really brings out the worst in all of us, doesn't it? So while Cleveland trains to kick his buddy's butt, Quagmire leaves like 100 voicemails for him to try and say sorry, but it's too late. There's no stopping Hurricane Brown.
Anyway, let's talk this thing through.
And when Cleveland absolutely stomps Quagmire in the backyard, everyone watches in terror that he's going to do something he's about to regret. Well, everyone but one person who just eggs him on.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
Get out of here, Dark Lord of the Sith. Didn't we already kill you? Besides, Cleveland's like the nicest guy in the world. Even you can't corrupt him.
Oh, I can't. It isn't in me to cause harm to anyone.
So Cleveland forgives his friend, but he still has something to say to Loretta.
Loretta, what you did was unforgivable. This marriage is over.
Way to stand up for yourself, Cleveland. But fair's fair. So Quagmire and Cleveland decide to settle their issues like grown-ups, by breaking each other's teeth in a boxing ring rather than a backyard. Because they're civilized.
I already told you I forgive you.
No, I feel like I got off too easy.
Cue the Rocky music. But Cleveland isn't the only one to give it to Quagmire, as Peter once went after him when he revealed that he was into Lois and Hot Pocket Dial.
I want Lois. She's perfect. I've loved her for years.
Oh my god. He's in love with Lois?
So Quagmire pocket dials Peter while professing his love for Lois, which is far from the worst pocket dial someone's gotten from Quagmire. No, that sound was not him having spaghetti for dinner. Anyway, this pocket dial revelation really ticks Peter off, so he completely explodes at a barbecue the next day.
Get the hell away from my wife, you scumbag!
You get why Peter would be paranoid every time he sees Quagmire and Lois together, though. Barbecues are filled with innuendos. All the talks about buns and glizzies. It's almost hard not to be turned on. So now that he's all hot and bothered, Peter shows them the recording of Quagmire professing his love.
Hey, get your hands off me!
So they completely ruin the barbecue, but Meg doesn't seem to mind. Honestly, this might be the highlight for her.
Kill him, Dad! Murder him!
Of course, they all get over it when Quagmire swears to ignore those feelings. Besides, if Peter didn't want to be close to anyone who wants to bang his wife, he wouldn't keep Brian as a dog. But it's not like they actually kissed, which is the reason Peter ends up finding his son in a house full of Peters.
I'm in love with Lois. I knew it the moment we kissed. Kissed!
So Peter meets a bunch of his children he had after donating at a bank years ago, and one of them just kissed Lois. The thing is, she didn't really try to stop him. But can you blame her? He looks like Peter minus 20 years and a few 100,000 beers.
Son of a...
So the other Peter people come out to watch the fight as it spills onto the front lawn, but Larry is tougher than Peter's used to. This isn't his scrawny friend or a giant chicken or even a high schooler. This is basically just a younger version of himself. And Peter is completely outmatched in every possible way. Luckily, the power of love conquers all. Kinda crappy that none of Peter's other couple dozen illegitimate kids stepped in to help though. But Larry isn't the only son of Peter's to face the wrath, as Peter's buddies reminded Chris that they could still beat him up in Bookie of the Year.
I can't believe we made all this in one game!
So Chris discovers he's an amazing baseball pitcher, which probably has something to do with years of building up his forearm strength during his private workouts. Naturally, Peter tries to be a supportive father by gambling on his son rather than against him. But just when it starts to look like they hit the jackpot, Tom Tucker gives a news report on the ace pitcher.
Ah, crap, now everyone knows Chris is a ringer!
So Peter starts to worry about their little betting scheme, which means he'll have to bond with his son the old-fashioned way. By, Wait, how do fathers bond with their sons besides exploiting their talents for money? I don't know, but he complains to his friends about it, who think they know exactly what he's trying to tell them.
Yeah, we'll fix this problem.
Well, you guys are creeping me out.
Of course, what he's really saying is that he'll love his kid for who he is, but they think he means break his arm, bet against him in the next game, and make a bunch of money. Good thing they have the perfect disguises.
Wait a minute, teenagers don't have wheelchairs?
So the three grown men beat up the teenage baseball star with bats and crowbars. But it's for money, so it's okay. And before you say it, yes, this still counts as them proving themselves as some of the toughest fighters, even if you think using weapons is cheating. What, you think Thor's cheating because he uses his hammer? Besides, Chris gets his revenge.
Ah, son of a bitch!
But don't underestimate how good a fighter Quagmire is even on his own, as he proved he could kick the crap out of Brian and Quagmire's dad.
Oh my god!
What do you think, boys?
So Quagmire's dad just came out as a trans woman, which was tough for Quagmire to cope with at first, but he should have seen it coming. After all, Ida served in the Navy and was constantly surrounded by seamen and privates. But they get in a fight, which leads to Ida running off to a bar to blow off some steam. Lucky for Ida, this is a dog-friendly bar. Good for her, you know? Getting out there on her first night as a woman and getting lucky. Too bad it's with her son's least favorite person in the entire world. Also, too bad it's literally a dog. Maybe set higher standards for yourself, Ida. Anyway, not knowing about her recent operation, Brian shows pictures of her to the family to brag about his recent night out.
Here, Lois, take a look.
So Brian has a bit of a freak out when he learns about who Ida used to be, because as progressive as Brian pretends to be, we all know that's just for show. But at least Quagmire hasn't found out. Oh, and I spoke too soon.
Where is that self-centered, arrogant son of a bitch?
Well, hope you enjoyed your piece while it lasted, Brian. So he drags the dog out from under the bed and completely pulverizes him. Brian's easily the weakest fighter on this list so far. If inanimate objects qualified for the Family Guy fighter rankings, he'd still be dead last. Even Rupert's about 15 spots ahead of him.
Now lay there and die, you piece of crap!
Quagmire just ended the fight with a first-round KO, but Brian gets the last laugh.
Hey. Your dad.
If it's a war of words, Brian's easily taken the W on this one. But a fight that didn't work out as well for Quagmire came in the form of a road rage battle with Peter and Baby not on board.
I'm stuck behind some fat ass driving too slow. Come on, stupid, move it!
So Quagmire gets stuck behind a guy going too slow, while Peter's getting tailgated by some jerk. And the two totally unrelated drivers flip each other off. In case you're about as smart as Glenn and Peter, we'll spell it out for you. They are the person the other one's mad at.
Hey, I'll call you back after the fight.
Yeah, me too.
Good luck in yours.
Good luck in yours.
So they pull to the side of the road and solve their road rage New England style, trading punches. Quagmire's shown us he can kick some serious tail today, but between the two of them, I'll take the guy who's almost killed a giant chicken a few dozen times. And that's our video, which means you can go back to picking fights with 15-year-old bullies and movie stars. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any more great Family Guy videos.